Your palm is pressed flat against the cold, damp morning grass, and you feel the sharp, jagged edge of something metallic bite into your skin. It's a rusted washer, or maybe a broken earring back, or a piece of blue sea glass lying exactly where you left a handful of peanuts just an hour before. The air is still biting, that crisp, lung-filling chill of dawn, and as you close your fingers around the small, heavy object, you realize it wasn't dropped there by accident. It's a delivery. Somewhere in the trees above you, a pair of black, intelligent eyes is watching to see if you pick it up. This is a paradox that shouldn't exist in the natural world. Evolution is a brutal, cold-blooded tally of calories in versus calories out. Every scrap of food, every shiny object, and every moment of effort spent by a wild animal has a biological price tag. In a world where the next meal is never guaranteed, giving something away for free, especially to a member of a completely different species that you could easily just avoid, is a move that seems to defy every law of survival. Why would a crow, a dolphin, or an apex predator like an orca decide to part with a resource? Is it a thank you, a mistake, or something far more calculated? Perhaps we've been looking at this all wrong. The first instinct we have as humans is to call this a gift. We see a cat drop a mouse on the rug, or a crow leave a button on a fence post, and we assume it's an act of gratitude. We think the animal is paying us back for the food we provided. But if you talk to behavioral ecologists, they'll tell you that gratitude is a human concept that requires a level of abstract morality many animals might not possess. In fact, the idea that animals are paying rent or tribute is the first myth we have to dismantle. If they were simply paying for food, we would see this behavior in every animal we feed. Squirrels, pigeons, and stray dogs would be piling up treasures on our doorsteps. But they don't. Only a very specific elite group of animals does this, and they do it with a level of intentionality that suggests they aren't just reacting to a meal. They are initiating a social contract. Could it be that the gift isn't a payment at all, but a test of our own social standing? Think about the crows of Seattle, specifically a young girl named Gabby Mann whose story went viral years ago. She began feeding the crows in her garden in 2011, and by 2013, the crows were leaving her a daily collection of items. This wasn't a few random pebbles. It was a heart-shaped bead, a miniature silver light bulb, a black button, and a piece of foam. Most strikingly, there was a rusted screw and a polished piece of glass. To a human, this looks like a collection of junk. To a crow, these are high-value curiosities. John Marsluff, a professor of wildlife science at the University of Washington, has spent decades studying these exact birds. In his famous 2006 study, he proved that crows don't just recognize humans, they categorize them. He and his team wore specific caveman masks while capturing and banding crows, and neutral masks when just walking by. Years later, the crows still screamed at anyone wearing the caveman mask, while ignoring the others. They had formed a collective memory of a bad human. But Gabby's crows did the opposite. They didn't just remember her, they created a reciprocal loop. They were using their limited energy to find, carry, and deposit items for her. Is it possible the crows weren't thanking her but were trying to figure out what she valued? If we look at the brain-to-body ratio of a crow, it's remarkably similar to that of a chimpanzee. They have a massive nidopallium, the part of the brain responsible for high-level processing and social intelligence. When a crow gives you a gift, it is likely engaging in what biologists call interspecific reciprocal altruism. This is a fancy way of saying they are building a bridge between two different worlds. They've observed that when they drop a specific item, the human's behavior changes. Maybe the human smiles, maybe they bring better food, or maybe they just stay longer. The crow is running a series of social experiments on us. They are testing the boundaries of a relationship to see how much we can be manipulated or influenced. But what happens when the animal isn't a scavenger but a predator that sees us as a peer? This brings us to the most common gift givers in our daily lives: house cats. We've all seen it: the present on the pillow, a half-dead lizard, a headless sparrow, or a very much alive mouse. For decades, the leading theory was that cats were trying to teach us how to hunt. Since they see humans as clumsy, giant, incompetent kittens who never catch anything, they bring us prey to practice on. This is called provisioning, and it's a behavior seen in mother cats in the wild. But here's where the theory breaks down. Neutered male cats do it too. Cats that were separated from their mothers at birth and never taught to hunt themselves do it too. In a 2015 study by Dr. Tony Buffington at Ohio State University, researchers looked at the indoor-outdoor dynamic of domestic felines. They found that cats aren't necessarily trying to teach us. Instead, they are treating the home as a safe core territory. In the wild, a feline that catches more than it can eat will bring the excess back to the center of its territory to share with its social group. By dropping a mouse at your feet, the cat isn't saying you're a bad hunter. It's saying you are part of my pride. It has reclassified you from a separate entity into a member of its own functional unit. Is this really a sign of affection, or is it just a biological reflex they can't turn off? The implications of this reclassification are even more profound when you move from the living room to the open ocean. In the waters off Tangalooma Island Resort in Australia, a group of wild bottlenose dolphins has been interacting with humans for over 30 years. Since the 1990s, researchers have documented a startling behavior. These wild dolphins, not trained, not captive, frequently bring gifts to the humans who feed them from the pier. They've brought dead eels, octopuses, squid, and even pieces of coral. In 2012, a study published in the journal Anthrozoas detailed how these interactions weren't just random. The dolphins, specifically a male named Tinkerbell and several of his kin, would wait for the humans to acknowledge the item before swimming away. They weren't dropping the fish to eat it later. They were presenting it. This is highly unusual because, in the dolphin world, food is rarely shared outside of mother-calf bonds or very tight male alliances. By offering food to a human, the dolphin is performing a ritual usually reserved for its most trusted life partners. Does that mean the dolphin thinks we are dolphins, or does it think we are something else entirely? The deeper you go into the research, the more it seems that these animals are not confused. They know we aren't crows, cats, or dolphins. They are perfectly aware that we look different, smell different, and move differently. Yet they have a social slot in their brains for companions. When a human fills that slot by being consistent, predictable, and providing resources, the animal's brain begins to fire the same neurons it would for a member of its own species. This is the social brain hypothesis in action. It suggests that intelligence evolved not just to find food, but to manage complex relationships. When a penguin at a zoo presents a pebble to its favorite keeper, a behavior documented in Gentoo penguins who usually use those stones to build nests and attract mates, it is using a specific mating and bonding language to communicate with a human. It's not that the penguin is in love with the keeper in a human sense. It's that the keeper has triggered the trust circuit in the penguin's brain, and the only way the penguin knows how to express that trust is through the pebble ritual. But what if the gift isn't a rock or a mouse? What if it's a piece of a high-stakes kill? This happened in the Salish Sea and off the coast of California with orcas. Researcher Jared Towers has documented multiple incidents where wild orcas, the apex predators of the ocean, approached research boats and offered pieces of their prey. In one instance, an orca spent several minutes trying to hand over a piece of a seal to a person on a boat. Orcas are incredibly cultural animals. Different pods have different languages, different diets, and different customs. Feeding the pod is the highest form of social bonding. For an orca to offer a portion of its hard-earned kill to a human, a creature that provides it with nothing in return, is a massive evolutionary anomaly. There is no biological gain for the orca. It's actually a loss of calories. Some researchers believe this is surplus killing combined with social play, but that doesn't explain the persistence. The orca isn't just playing with its food, it's trying to initiate a connection. They are inviting us into their culture. Why would a creature that could easily crush us choose to feed us instead? To answer that, we have to look at the work of Robert Trivers and his theory of reciprocal altruism. In 1971, Trivers argued that for altruism to work, three things must be present. The cost to the giver must be low, the benefit to the receiver must be high, and there must be a high probability that the roles will be reversed in the future. But with wild animals and humans, the roles reversed part never really happens in a way the animal can predict. We don't bring the crows shiny buttons, we bring them peanuts. We don't bring the dolphins eels, we bring them small fish. The gifts are asymmetric. This suggests that the animals aren't looking for a direct trade, they are looking for affiliation. In the wild, having friends is a survival strategy. Friends watch your back, they help you find food, and they keep you warm. By giving us a gift, the animal is essentially tagging us as a friend. They are placing a bet on us. They are saying, I have invested in you, now you are part of my safety net. Does it bother you to think that a bird is using you as an insurance policy? There is a darker, or perhaps more unsettling side to this as well. If an animal can categorize a human as a friend, it can also categorize us as an asset. In parts of Africa, the greater honey-guide bird has a legendary relationship with human honey hunters. The bird leads the humans to a beehive, waits for the humans to smoke out the bees and crack open the hive, and then eats the leftover wax and larvae. The bird is gifting its knowledge of the hive's location to the human. But this isn't friendship, it's a business transaction. If the human doesn't leave enough wax for the bird will lead the next human to a lion or a venomous snake as punishment. This tit-for-tat strategy is a core part of animal intelligence. It reminds us that while the gifts we receive might be cute, they are part of a very serious, very old game of survival. The crow that leaves you a bead today is the same crow that will remember your face for 10 years if you ever try to hurt it. Their kindness is a tool, sharpened by millions of years of evolution. Are we the ones in control of these interactions, or are we being trained? Consider the wow factor of the memory gift. In one documented case, a woman lost the lens cap to her camera in a field where she regularly fed a family of crows. 2 days later, the lens cap appeared on her porch, cleaned of most of the dirt. This requires the crow to not only find the object, but to remember that the human was associated with that specific piece of plastic. It requires a theory of mind, the ability to understand that another being has its own perspective and its own needs. The crow understood that the lens cap was human stuff. This level of cognitive mapping is what separates the gift givers from the rest of the animal kingdom. They are looking at us and seeing not just a source of food, but a person with a life and preferences. They are watching our habits, our movements, and our reactions. When they bring us a gift, they are essentially saying, I see you. How much of our lives have they actually mapped out while we weren't looking? This brings us to the biggest reveal of all, the one that reframes every pebble, every mouse, and every piece of sea glass. For a long time, we thought we were the ones domesticating animals. We thought we invited cats into our granaries and dogs into our camps. But when you look at the gift-giving behavior of wild animals, it suggests a different story. It suggests that animals are actively self-domesticating in response to us. They are evolving the neural pathways to handle human interaction because we have become the most dominant feature of their environment. The gift isn't an anomaly, it's an evolutionary adaptation. The animals that learn how to build a social bond with humans are the ones that survive the best in the Anthropocene. The crows that give gifts get more peanuts. The dolphins that bring sponges get more protection. The cats that share prey get a warm bed. We aren't just friends with these animals. We are their new ecological niche. They are hacking our psychology to ensure their own survival. Is it a gift if it's actually a survival tactic designed to manipulate your emotions? Look back at that rusted washer in your hand. You feel a sense of wonder, a sense of being chosen. You feel a connection to the wild that most people never get to experience. But that feeling is exactly what the animal needs you to feel. That emotional spike is what ensures you'll come back tomorrow with more food, more protection, and more attention. The crow hasn't just given you a piece of metal, it has given you a reason to keep it alive. It has anchored itself to your heart so that when the winter comes and food is scarce, you will make sure that this asterisk-specific crow doesn't starve. The gift is a tether. It's a way for a tiny, fragile creature to exert power over a giant. By accepting the gift, you have signed a contract you didn't even know existed. You are now responsible for the being that chose you. Does that make the relationship more beautiful or just more strategic? We like to think of the natural world as something separate from us, a place of wild things that don't care about our lives. But the gifts prove that the wall between us and them is paper thin. A crow has a map of your backyard in its head, and you are the most important landmark on it. A cat has a map of your family, and you are the most important hunter in it. A dolphin has a map of the coastline, and your pier is the most important social hub on it. They are living their lives in direct conversation with ours, even when we aren't paying attention. They are studying us, learning our weaknesses, and finding ways to fit into our world. The gift is just the most visible part of that conversation. It's the tip of an iceberg of social intelligence that we are only just beginning to understand. Can we ever truly know what they are thinking? Or are we just projecting our own desires onto them? This brings us back to the cold morning grass and the small heavy object in your palm. You look up at the tree, and for a split second, you lock eyes with that crow. In that moment, there is a bridge. It's a bridge made of rusted metal and peanuts, but it's a bridge nonetheless. You aren't just a human and a bird anymore. You are two social organisms engaged in an ancient dance of reciprocity. You've been domesticated by the crow just as much as you've tamed it. You have been brought into its world, its logic, and its survival strategy. The washer isn't just junk, it's a signal. It's a way of saying that in a world of predators and prey, you have been reclassified as other. You are something else now. You are an ally. But what happens if you stop bringing the peanuts? Would the gifts stop, or would they turn into something else? Would the bird still see you as a friend, or would you go back to being just another giant in the landscape? This is the hidden reality of the animal kingdom. Trust is not a gift, it's a currency. Every time a wild animal approaches you with something in its mouth, it is making a withdrawal from its own energy reserves to make an investment in you. It is a high-stakes gamble. If you fail them, they lose. If you succeed, they gain a powerful godlike ally who can provide resources they could never dream of. They have been watching us for thousands of years, learning our patterns and figuring out how to push our buttons. The gifts aren't a sign of their humanity. They are a sign of their mastery over ours. They have figured us out. They know that we can't resist a thank you, even if it's made of rusted iron and bird spit. Why would they ever stop? As you walk back inside, the washer clinking against your house keys, you might feel a little bit more connected to the earth. You might feel like you've unlocked a secret of the universe. And in a way, you have. You've discovered that the wild isn't actually wild. It's a network of individuals all making choices, all running calculations, and all looking for a way to make it to tomorrow. The crow in the tree is already flying away, looking for the next shiny thing, the next gift to bring you. It knows your schedule. It knows when you leave for work. It knows when you're happy and when you're distracted. It's not just a bird anymore. It's a neighbor. And like any good neighbor, it expects you to keep up your end of the bargain. Have you ever stopped to wonder who is really in charge of this relationship? Think about that the next time you see a crow watching you from a telephone wire. It isn't just looking for food. It's looking for a partner. It's looking for someone it can trust enough to give something away. Because in the brutal, beautiful world of nature, a gift is never just a gift. It's a life insurance policy wrapped in a shiny piece of trash. It's a way to ensure that when the world turns cold, they aren't alone. It's a way to make sure you remember them. And you will. You'll keep that rusted washer in a jar on your desk. You'll tell your friends about the crow that likes you. You'll buy a bigger bag of peanuts. The crow has won. It has successfully secured its future by manipulating yours. Is that a scary thought, or is it the most comforting thing in the world? We spend so much of our lives feeling alone in the universe, looking for signs of intelligence in the stars or in the depths of the ocean. But the signs are right there on our windowsills and our doorsteps. They are small, rusted, and covered in dirt. They are the evidence that we are being watched, studied, and cared for by beings that don't even speak our language. They are the proof that we are not the only ones trying to make sense of this world. We are just the ones with the biggest bags of peanuts. And as long as we keep providing, they'll keep bringing us their treasures. They've decided we're worth the effort. They've decided we're part of the pod. They've decided we're family. What more could you ask for from the wild? In the end, maybe the why doesn't matter as much as the what. What matters is that a gap has been closed. What matters is that for a brief moment, the survival of the fittest rule was paused to make room for a rusted heart-shaped bead. It's a small miracle, repeated every day in backyards and oceans across the planet. It's a reminder that even in the harshest environments, there is a place for connection. There is a place for us. So the next time you find a gift, don't just look at it. Look up. Look for the eyes that are looking for you. And remember that you aren't just a spectator in the natural world. You are a participant. You are an asset. You are a friend. And that is a gift in itself, isn't it? If you enjoyed this dive into the secret social lives of animals, consider joining our own pod by subscribing for more deep explorations of the world around us. What's the strangest thing a wild animal has ever left for you? Share your story in the comments. We'd love to hear how you've been tagged. The truth is, they aren't bringing you gifts because they love you. They are bringing you gifts because they have successfully domesticated you to serve their needs. They are the masters now,